Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby. Double features, double takes. This is the podcast where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present. I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby.
And today we are discussing Hamnet and Arrival. Two films that certainly discuss the nature of daylight.
Do you think anyone will understand that reference?
At least, well, I think out of there's going to be people listening to this that will understand. And then...
Okay, good.
Maybe
I
one
was
other
wondering if it was too
one
niche.
other person. Yeah, well, we'll have to see. Sound off if you understand. What was your reaction to when you heard this thing?
It got spoiled for me, so like I don't know. My reaction, we'll get into it.
That's true. Did I spoil it for you?
No, somebody else, but I didn't know music could be a spoiler, but in this case, it very much is.
We wanted to thank everyone for tuning in to our live Oscars nomination reaction. And if you're new, thanks for tuning in again. That was quite early, Gabby, when we recorded that, huh?
Extreme. I don't think I've ever gotten up in my life earlier for anything other than like the Oscar nominations or like a flight where I saved $50 if I like got up at 4 a.m. to go to LAX.
Yeah.
It's always just worth the extra $50 to sleep. I will just tell everyone. Like, you think you're saving money, but you're really not. It's a trap. Just do the more comfortable flight. Okay. That's my PSA.
Sleep is worth $50.
Sleep is priceless, but as you know, Evan, I am a psycho and I wake up every year for the Oscar nominations, even if we are not recording them. My reactions, I just simply am in my bed watching and grunting or cheering to myself while my partner tries to sleep. It's a yearly tradition.
Yeah, I had never woken up for them before, and I really appreciated everyone who tuned in live in the chat, also those who woke up with us. It was funny to find out that we were a half hour early, or the Oscars pushed it back a half hour.
Was it funny, or was it like unfortunate that they just
I really
gave
had to kick in producer
awareness.
brain there. Yeah, it was certainly a situation, and I think we handled it pretty well.
We did.
We called James.
We did. We live called James twice. And yeah, and it was Begonia's Day. Any nominations like sitting with you longer as you like post a live stream? Any of it you're like still thinking about like, damn, that was a snub? Or
I feel like we covered all the like snub ones that like immediately jump out. I just think the F1 surprise, I think maybe
lingering.
Yeah, maybe when I really think about it, I think you could have thrown Wicked for Good something. You know, as ultimate Wicked haters,
I'm so happy that we didn't. I mean, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't like predict it in anything, but I think you could have given it production design. I think that's the best part of those movies.
Yeah, or at least costumes, something, the theatrics of it maybe could have been awarded. I do think that still the weirdest nomination of the morning is Best Costumes for Avatar Fire and Ash. Because
that's funny.
Most of the people who are, filming the movies are in like mocap suits. Like all of the costumes are digital, no?
Yeah, except Spider.
Except Spider's loincloth, yeah. Best costume, Spider's loincloth and white boy dreads. I love it.
And Edie Falco military uniform.
Oh, of course. That one is extremely realistic. Do you think she shot that movie from like a green screen in her backyard?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Do you think she was just like
possible.
Against a green screen with a cup of coffee and was just like, well, abandon ship?
Nah, I feel like she doesn't phone it in. Does she phone it in?
Nah, I don't think so. But I think she took a free trip to New Zealand. She was on set for a few days.
Yeah.
On set for like 3 days and then enjoyed her time in New Zealand.
And she goes up to James Cameron later. So just remind me again, who's Jake Sully?
And why do we want him?
And is he
That's a
like
great
the
question,
Osama bin
Edie.
Laden of our universe?
Or is he like a redeeming hero character? I don't understand. In
Oh,
military terms, please explain this to me. Um, well, in other movie news, non Academy Awards edition, we are in the midst of Sundance, are we not, Evan? The last Sundance at its originating place in Park City, Utah. And next year it will be in Boulder, Colorado for the foreseeable
yes.
future. Do you think that this is going to be a thing where they change the location like every decade, like it's like a road show?
Yeah, I mean,
I
why
think that could
not,
be kind
right?
of fun.
Yeah, Park City locals, it feels like they have a lot of mixed feelings about the festival from, just on the peripherals. I think one of my biggest regrets in life will not have been going to Sundance during Park City, because it always looks so fun, even though it seems like it's terrible while you're there having to trudge through snow.
Oh yeah, it seems like it's tough, but it's an experience.
Yeah, and that vibe certainly won't be gone when you go to Boulder. There will still be more snow.
Yes, I mean, I would like to experience just a Sundance Film Festival if anyone would
Yeah.
like to pay for me to go. Um,
Yeah, pay for us
and
to go. We'll
pay
we'll
for
just
us to go as a
we'll do
show.
live
We'll
pods.
24/7 round the clock coverage of all the deals being made at Sundance.
There's a booth
Um,
on the main strip and we're just there caffeinated 24/7, like just talking about like live reporting movies as if it's like election night.
swapping hand warmers, just like, Evan, what do you think about this?
We'll do it. I'll
I
do
think
it.
that would be fun. We'll do it. Telluride, call us Telluride. Another mountain film festival.
Just start
That's the
sending
one I would
just
really
this
like to go to.
episode. Oh, to Telluride? Yeah, I think that'd be
I
fun.
think that's my most want to go is Telluride. I feel like yeah, it would be nice to experience Venice or Cannes, but too fancy for me. I don't think I'm fancy enough to blend in with the Europeans, you
I
know?
feel like I'm very um spoiled or very fortunate, depends on what side of the bed you wake up that day, because the first big film festival and probably the only big-ish film festival, medium to big, that I've gone to is the Karlovy Vary Film Festival in the Czech
Ooh.
Republic. And that takes place in
Mm.
a like a European spa town with like hot
What?
springs. And so it feels kind of like fancy, but it's also not, because like I don't think
Ooh.
a ton of people know about Carlo Vivari. Like there aren't
Right,
like
yeah.
big premiere there might have been like one or two like big premieres there, and it's right before Venice, so people are probably waiting for
Mm.
Venice, but you get to walk around in Eastern Europe and you're like, whoa, this is pretty
Be in some
cool.
hot springs? Okay.
Yeah. i
Call us.
watched I watched Kumiko the Treasure Hunter there, which I know was kind of a little bit on the bigger side, or at least like on the indie circuit. There was some buzz around that movie that year. Yeah.
Hmm. And speaking of buzz, Evan, what is it that's lighting up the Sundance Film Festival right now?
Well, there's a lot of movies
What are
there.
we hearing?
Yeah, a lot of movies there. I was kind of curious, and looking at some of the programming. I found an article on Deadline that was saying these are the movies that are the talk of the town. And I was like, all right, well, let's look at some of these titles and let's see which ones
Wait,
I've
hold
heard
on.
about.
Hold up. I want to say that Deadline is losing credibility to me, like for some other reasons, but mostly because today I looked up a Deadline article about the BAFTA nominations, and
Hmm.
they had referred to Zootopia twice as Zootropolis 2.
Well, I think that's what it's called.
Zootropolis!
No, no, no. I think
Is
that's
it
what it's
though?
called. No, it's called that in Europe, I'm pretty sure. You can look it up right now. I think it's
Why?
called Zootropolis.
But
I don't
Deadline is
know.
American. Deadline
No,
is
but it's the
American.
BAFTA.
I have a problem with this. This is how I'm gonna get out my MAGA hat. Here we go.
I mean, our
Make this American. This is the closest thing I have to a red hat. This is my MAGA hat.
Wait, should I pull out? Hold on, I'll pull out my MAGA hat. 1 second. It's just like a
This
blank Pokemon, like Ash
this
Ketchum
could be
hat
the
without the
look.
check mark.
This could be the look if you send us to a film festival.
We go to the festivals like this. Jeez.
No, but yeah, Zootropolis 2 seems wrong to me, even if it is proper in Europe.
Yeah, I saw some article about this a while ago, and I don't really know why that happened. Sometimes they just like have these things. I don't know.
What if it's actually not about Zootopia at all? It's just a megalopolis Zootopia cross
Oh, that's fun.
that we've
Yeah.
all been waiting for.
Directed by Francis Ford Crocodile.
You know
Uh,
he would do it. Um, I am excited about something I thought that I would never say I was excited about again. An
mhm,
Olivia Wilde movie, two Olivia Wilde movies, perhaps. Um, The Invite is her film with Seth Rogen, is currently lighting up a bidding war over in Park City between A24 and Neon. That's like the
mhm.
biggest one that I've heard of so far in terms of like bidding war. I believe a couple of other films have been acquired, but what of the lineup are you excited to see, Evan?
Yeah, so I guess just for some context too, the invite is kind of feels like what's becoming a classic Olivia Wilde story, which is just like a couple is going through some problems, or it all looks good until something happens, which I guess broadly you can say
We're
about most
having
movies.
we're having marital issues. Why don't we open our relationship?
Yeah.
Great idea. Amazing idea. Has never gone wrong for anyone ever.
Yeah. But in that same topic, there's a movie called Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass, starring Zoe Deutsch, directed by
Ooh,
David
love of your
Wayne.
life.
I love her; she's great. Directed by David Wayne, screenplay by Ken Marino. Really fun cast. John Slattery's in it. Younger actor Ben Wong is in it as well. He was in some of I believe it was the American Born Chinese Disney Plus show. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, this is basically about a young woman who has a celebrity hall pass with her fiance, and her fiance uses it, and she's like, "Wait, what? You're
Mm.
not supposed to use this. It's just a thing you say." And so she goes on a quest to kind of get her celebrity hall pass.
Okay, that's
And
funny. I would watch
yeah,
that.
it sounds like it's a lot. There's a lot of positive reviews on it. Just be like, seems like a really classic comedy for a new generation, and it's gonna be. So I'm really excited to see that. These are the types of movies that seem like they go straight to Hulu, and I'm hoping that that's not the
I
case with this one.
yeah, I don't want that for any of these, you know? Like all of these are just like the kinds of smaller movies that we should be championing to be in theaters before the corporate takeover of
Y-
theaters.
Yeah. I'll run through the rest of these really quickly. So we got The Gallerist, directed by Kathy Yan, starring Natalie Portman and Jenna
Mm.
Ortega. Really interesting kind of duo right there. A desperate gallerist conspires to sell a dead body at the Art Basel, Miami. Interesting
Okay.
premise.
Sure.
I Want Your Sex, directed by Greg Araki, starring Cooper Hoffman.
Yeah.
Also, Charlie XCX is in it. When fresh-faced Elliot lands a job with artist and provocateur Erica Tracy, that's not Charlie XCX, is played by a different actress. His fantasies
No,
come
it's
true
Olivia
as she.
Wilde.
It,
Woo! She,
his,
you wrote in here she's wilding, and she really is.
no. That's not that. Wait. That's not played by Olivia Wilde, is it? I don't think it is.
Wait, yeah, I think it is. I'm 90% sure that it's Olivia
Hold on.
Wilde.
Let's do it.
That's why I said I'm looking forward to two Olivia Wilde movies. Isn't that
I
crazy?
thought it was someone else. I
In
could have sworn it was someone else.
2026.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It is Olivia Wilde. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
She's
I'm
on the
very excited
comeback.
for that.
She said, "I'm making
Okay,
salad dressing for no one anymore."
good for her. So
And
Erica
then
Tracy.
yeah, and his fantasies come true as she taps him to become her sexual muse. But Elliot finds himself out of his depth as Erica takes him on a journey into a world of sex, obsession, power, betrayal, and murder. Yeah, sounds interesting. Um,
Sounds like a great date night movie. I'm excited to see this though. I have a lot of
well,
stock in Cooper Hoffman. I really like him.
yeah, he's great.
You have here Josephine, starring Channing Tatum and Gemma Chan. After an 8-year-old Josephine witnesses a crime in Golden Gate Park, she acts out in search of a way to regain control of her safety while adults are helpless to console her. This sounds dark.
It is dark. I
It
know what
sounds
the crime
really
is
dark.
because
Oh,
it's
I
that's the opening and it's really dark. This has neon written all over it if they get
really?
distribution
Oh
right.
no.
Yeah,
Okay.
if that's any
Yeah, I
indication.
we'll get into this on this podcast, but I usually have a very hard time with children in danger movies or children
Mm.
like yeah, children's innocence and being taken away from them and or them dying movies. Whew, those are tough for me, which is
Yeah.
why we picked two today. Woo!
Woo!
The Wait with Ethan Hawke and Russell Crowe.
In Oregon, in 1993, Samuel Murphy is torn from his daughter and sent to a brutal work camp. Warden Clancy tempts him with early release if he smuggles gold through deadly wilderness, but betrayals festers within the crew, and Murphy questions how far he'll go to see his child again. Yeah, this one seems really intense.
I was just thinking like Russell Crowe and Ethan Hawke. That seems like a weird duo, but then you read the name Warden Clancy, and I was like, oh, that's Russell Crowe. That is a character name that has Russell Crowe written all over it. And I
Yeah.
would like to talk about. I would like to voice my excitement right here, right now, on your last entry on this list,
Hmm.
which is Wicker, starring Olivia Colman and Alexander Skarsgård, which is about a fisherwoman who asks a basket maker to weave her a husband.
This sounds wild.
And I can't wait. I cannot wait. This is like the kind of shit that like only in my wildest dreams would I would I write a screenplay like this and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
Alexander Skarsgård is literally a man made of wicker, and Olivia Colman gets to fuck him.
Yeah, I'm curious on like what this magical realism thing is gonna be like, you know?
How soft do you think that the wicker is going to be? Because I feel like cuddling up with wicker is a little thorny.
I think it's gonna
You
be
know,
hard.
I feel like wicker is not the ideal material to make yourself a husband with, but
Yeah.
I want this movie to prove me wrong.
Well, we'll see. I think my favorite thing about covering movies like this and talking about it is like making these observations really early on and then seeing how these movies fare in the coming year and revisiting like, you know, these are early thoughts about this and how what happens with these movies and if they're actually good, you know?
Yeah, we'll see. Um, until then, let's talk about another movie that is having a little bit of a is resurgence the right word? I don't know. Like, but it's
Yeah.
having a box office bump, an
Mhm.
Oscars bump. Hamnet.
Woo.
Evan, we saw this movie pre Oscars bump. How did you see Hamnet?
I think this is in the current history of the podcast, this is the longest time between seeing a movie and recording the podcast we've ever done. I think.
Probably, but you saw this movie a lot longer before me. I saw it New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So almost a month ago, like a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. But
Still
you
long.
you you saw it a while ago. When did you see this movie, Evan?
I'm pretty sure I saw this like mid or early or mid December. I remember it was one of those things where I decided last minute I wanted to go see it and I think James, who we called on the Oscars nominations podcast, he had already had a ticket or I told him I was gonna go, and we decided we just couldn't get tickets next to each other, which is always funny, you know, when you see a movie with a friend but you can't sit next to them. And then recently I was like, James, have you seen Hamnet? He's like, yeah, we went together. I was like, oh yeah, that's on me.
That's right. That's right.
But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
right.
we saw it a long time ago. It was a pretty full theater, I think back then as well. And I imagine now theaters will be pretty full too. And
Yeah.
yeah.
When I saw it on New Year's Day, it was an absolutely packed theater. The entire Glendale AMC was packed that day, not for
Mhm.
Hamnet, but for the Stranger Things finale.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but I'd like to think that some of the commotion was just a lot of people going to the movies on their day off.
Mm-hmm.
starting their new year off with some cinema. But at the time, it was the only theater in LA still playing Hamnet, or at least the only
Mm,
AMC in the area. So I think it's interesting how now, like post awards and nominations, like it's getting this kind of revamped push and release. And I know some of our listeners noted that it has only just been released for the first time in Europe and the
mm-hmm.
UK, which I imagine this movie will do very well there.
Yeah, probably will probably clean up.
Clean up. I think right now it's close to making 50 million global, which is pretty big for this kind of movie.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's a
Oh my
lot for
god.
this kind of movie.
I wonder what the budget was too. We'll have to look it up in a second.
We'll look it up. What is Miss Zhao? What is her budget fetching?
She's like, let me take out more from the Eternals account.
She's still out here sometimes being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make Eternals 2 happen," and I'm like, "Girl, why? Don't waste your
Well,
time."
we mentioned Gemma Chan earlier. I was like, what's she been doing? Has she been waiting for Eternals too? I haven't
I
seen her in
guess
anything.
so. What has Kumail been doing? Kumail is just staying that buff for like 10 years now.
And
Like
now he's
he's
on
been
Taskmaster.
oh my god. This is not how he saw his life going when he signed up to be what
No,
was
he
his name?
loves Taskmaster. Yeah, yeah,
Kingo?
Kingo.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's better now. Like it's better than being Kingo.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Evan, jumping in here during the edit session. I just want to say that we're going to be talking about Hamnet now. Full spoilers. We didn't really do a spoilerville warning for this. So if you want to check out Hamnet without knowing anything else about the movie, now's your chance to hit pause and go watch Hamnet, then come back and listen to the rest of this. All right, back to me and Gabby. Well, let's talk about Hamnet, which premiered at the Telluride Film Festival on August 29th, 2025. It had a limited release in November 26th, 2025. And now, as we just discussed, is releasing wider as award season continues. Directed by Chloe Zhao, written by Zhao and Maggie O'Farrell, adapted from the novel by O'Farrell, the novel titled Hamnet as well. Produced by
Mm-hmm.
Liza Marshall, Pippa Harris, Nicholas Gonda, Sam Mendes, and Steven Spielberg. Ooh, two heavy hitters at the back there.
Ever heard of them?
As far as directors go, starring Jessie, Buckley, Paul Mescal, Emily Watson, Joe Alwyn, Jacoby Jupe as the titular Hamnet.
I believe it's pronounced Jacoby, but
Jacoby Jupe. I'm sorry,
Jacoby
Mr.
Jupe.
Jupe. I'm sorry to both Jupe brothers.
Who are the other Jupe brother is in this movie also. What is
Yeah,
his name?
Noah
I'm sorry, I
as
didn't write it
Hamlet.
down. Noah. As
Um,
Hamlet, right?
yes.
We should say that this movie does begin with like a little title card that says that in this time period, Hamnet and Hamlet were considered the same name. Why?
That's
I don't
wild.
know, but
Yeah.
I don't know why those sound like those are two they're spelled differently. It's just like one letter off.
Yeah, so you couldn't do that with my name because I have four letters and two of them are vowels.
I know. I
There
don't think
wouldn't
you could
be an
really do it with my name either. Like my whole name. Like I mean, I guess you could be like Gabrielle and
what
Gabriel. I don't
or
know. But
like
Gabriel is the male version.
Gabrielle and like Gabfiel. Like that's what Hamnet and Hamlet
Gaffiel.
sounds like to me, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's like close enough. It's like they
Yeah.
literally were just like still refining language from Latin and they were like close enough. who's
Honestly,
going to be
yeah.
who's going to be crazy enough to name their kid Hamnet anyway? I gotta say, after watching Hamnet, the name did not jump up the list for mine and my fiance's future children. There will be no Hamnet Wexler.
If
Sorry.
if I had a kid, I don't think I would name them Hamnet, but if I had a pet, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I feel like that's a good like cat name.
Yeah.
Hamnet.
Or a dog, you can name a dog Hamnet but call it Hammy.
Hammy. Yeah. Then you would never call him Hamnet. You'd just call him Hammy.
I know, but on the certificate or whatever. I mean, I don't understand people who have pets named. They're like, oh, the pet's name is this, but it's actually we call them this. I'm like, just then that's their name.
No.
That's what they know. That's what they know.
One name. They're
Yeah.
not that smart. Um, if you have not seen Hamnet yet and you don't know what it's about, it follows a young William Shakespeare who is unnamed in this movie until the very end. You're not supposed to know, but he's William Shakespeare, okay? Like, he's just a
Yeah.
guy. He's just a guy being a bro, teaching some kids Latin and falling in love with nature queen slash falconer slash rumored witch, Agnes, spelled like Agnes but pronounced Agnes. Uh, okay. Again, different time. William and Agnes marry, have 3 children, and amidst normal marital strains, the bubonic plague hits and takes Hamnet's life. And
Spoiler, except
spoiler,
they do say it at the beginning of the movie, I
it's
think.
it's in the trailer. It's literally in the trailer of it. This is about the loss of a child.
Yeah.
Agnes and William grow distant, grieving in different ways, but are ultimately brought back together by Hamlet, the play.
The end.
Evan, what did you think of Hamnet?
So Hamden, I think, really squarely falls into the category of movie for me that while I'm watching, I am actively liking and having intense emotional reactions, right? Like one of the things that was funny about not sitting with a friend during the movie is that when the movie's over, especially Hamnet, the lights go up right away and tears are still
Mm.
coming down my face.
Oh,
And I look
still
around and
crying.
make eye contact with a complete stranger, and the same thing is happening to them, right? And there's something quite beautiful about that, and there's something quite like you can't deny that the film, I think, is very powerful in that sense. um I will say, as I've kind of like, taken a lot of time away from the movie and I've thought about it a little bit, there are definitely I think I've definitely not totally soured on the movie. I do
Mm.
think I generally like it, and I think it's very well done, and it accomplishes what it sets out to accomplish. However, I'm not maybe like as in the bag on it as I immediately was when I left the movie. But I will say I stand by my letterbox review that if you no matter what you've heard about this movie, I think it's going to surprise you. I think you'll find things to like, or you'll be surprised at maybe how things were done. But I think it's something that is definitely worth watching for sure.
Yeah. I think I am a little warmer on it, maybe because I've seen it more recently than you, but I personally don't. I was saying a little bit before recording, like, I don't understand the hate that this movie is getting. Um, like, I think it's getting a lot of just like people piling on just because it seems very like old time Oscar baity. Like, it seems like the kind of movie that you make to attract awards. And I get that. I really do. Like, I am not immune to like seeing a trailer for a movie and being like, that was made to get awards. But I think that that's a really narrow, shallow take on the movie. I think that this is a movie that does go out of its way to evoke an emotional response in you. And some people might call that manipulative. Some people might feel, like maybe that's a negative, but I think it's a very powerful thing to be able to do, especially, like you said, to be able to have like a group of strangers in a room, just like all experiencing the same thing and having the same emotions, the same response. Um, so I am warmer on it for that. I also, it did surprise me, like you just said. I think that I was really surprised by the beginning of the movie, and I would say maybe the first half of the movie being very kind of like warm and bright, and like it's more of like their love story in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. And it's different. It's different because it's one of the first movies we get, and I know that they do this on purpose. I think it's a little silly, but they don't say that he's William Shakespeare, and they kind of center it more on Agnes's character. um and the whole movie does definitely center around her most,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that with the love story especially, like, it's kind of interesting because we've obviously had movies like Shakespeare in Love, which are fictional, but we haven't really had an account of, oh, this is what Shakespeare's personal life was like. And there are only so many actual accounts of Shakespeare's personal life, but by all accounts, historical, he was married to Agnes, and they were kind of like, yeah, like a shotgun couple, which I thought was cute, where they like fell in love. And it was her, like, that like seduction scene of hers where she's like, they'll never let you marry me, you have to get me pregnant. Like right now, like right now,
Yeah.
in this shed. And then like she like just witch intuitions that she's pregnant. She just like, there's a scene of her eating and she's just like holds her stomach and she's like, and then she just goes to announce it to Shakespeare and his family, and his like very uptight family. And he, he comes home, and I love this scene that the mother is like, this woman says she is with child. Did you put it there? And he's like, I did. I did do that. Like I thought moments like that I thought were so like heartwarming and fun.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't expect that going into this movie. I was expecting much more of like, oh, it's going to be a little more of a slog, like an emotional grieving slog for the whole
Yeah.
movie. And it's not. It's really not.
Yeah, because I think the movie is kind of sold on multiple key aspects of the plot, right? Which is that it's about Shakespeare's wife and family, and about them losing a child, and both of those things happen later in the movie than you think, right? Like you said, you see their love story, and it really is more about Agnes than it is Shakespeare at all. Like parts of the reveal of Shakespeare himself feel almost like it's straight out of a Marvel movie, so to speak, right? When
It's
he's
so
doing,
funny when he's like drunk and he has writer's block and he's like
yes,
trying to write something. And
yes,
I mean, I knew who he is, and most people, I would argue, in the theater probably know who he's supposed to be.
yeah.
But people in my theater were just laughing. They were like, "This guy."
Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, let's talk about Anya's, right? Because it is really kind of her movie, and Jessie Buckley is getting is winning awards, is was has been nominated for Best Actress,
This is her
among
award. Yeah.
among a group of men, right? Best Actress, and against Edward Norton, against
That was really funny. It was like Jessie Buckley and Guy Pearce for The Brutalist.
I'll throw up a
Um,
picture of what we're talking about in a little bit, but
yeah,
yeah,
it was
Variety ran with the wrong image.
a very funny typo, and I hope that nobody got fired for it. But um, Jessie Buckley, yes, a lot of awards acclaim. She seems to be like, even early in the season, like in the festival season, people were saying like, engrave the Oscar
Yeah.
already. It's Jessie Buckley's. It's over. And having not seen the movie at that point, I was a little bit like, really? I've seen some really great performances this year. And then I saw this one and I was like, oh yeah, this is hers, rightfully so. But um yeah, I think it's a really interesting choice
Hmm.
to center the film on her and her kind of perspective on, you know, on Shakespeare, but not just him, on
Hmm.
like having an untraditional life with someone, or a life that she wasn't expecting to have based on what we know about her when the movie opens, and how she's been brought up.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the more, intense moments of her character that are on screen are very raw, and I think she's able to kind of like hit that range or that depth really effectively. Where I think maybe I've been struggling with it a little bit is that it feels like we both I maybe I'm struggling with her character's journey a little bit. I can, like obviously she is a witch, or believes in,
She's
these like,
witchy. She's a
she's
witchy
witchy, right?
woman.
Yes.
In she's I don't think she's any witchier than like women in Venice Beach who are like hawking crystals. Like she's just she's witchy. She's not
Yeah.
like, over a cauldron though.
But it does feel like that's like the thing that defines her in a very plotty way, maybe. Um,
I
and
think
I
so.
yeah.
I think that is for a reason though.
Okay, yeah, expand on that.
I think that the reason why they center on it so much is to one make her seem very different
Mm.
to uh Shakespeare's family and to the
Mm-hmm.
people around them and to like society.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of like in the beginning of this movie, it's like, have you heard about that one woman who died's daughter who just like lives in the woods? She's a freak.
And she's got a falcon.
She's got a falcon. And Shakespeare's like, I'm kind of into it. I'm gonna bring her a new falconry glove, and she's gonna throw it on the floor, and I'm gonna be hard as a rock. But like that's basically it. And so I think that it's to draw a contrast between like what she's used to and like the kind of society that she's going to be brought into, even if it's not shown to us that like that in his, before his great success, like he's not a super rich man, like he's not like an aristocrat. He's
Mm-hmm.
like middle class, but still higher than her class. And I think that the witch stuff comes into play more when she is using it to, like, where the scene where it was the starkest contrast to me was actually when she is giving birth, and those scenes are very harrowing.
Mm.
Like when the first time she's able to go to the forest and give birth, like she
Oh
wants to
yeah.
give birth in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, they go out and find her, and she just is like laying in the trees with the baby.
Yeah.
And then the second time that she's pregnant, she unexpectedly has twins, which I cannot think of something more
Scary.
terrifying to
Yeah, I
me
know, it's so
than
scary.
like, oh, you gave birth to a baby, another one's coming. Horrifying. But
Yeah.
her mother-in-law like won't let her go to the forest because Shakespeare is not there to
Mm-hmm.
like say basically to say like, let my wife do what she wants. So she is like forced to give birth like in the house, in the kitchen, and it's very out of her element. And I think that she is kind of throughout the film going back to these moments a little bit, like especially when she is trying to save her children, like one
Mm-hmm.
of the twins, when she's trying to save the twin that gets sick earlier, Judith, who was
Mm-hmm.
assumed dead when she was born. She wasn't breathing when she came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Anya says this weird premonition thing, which I would simply be afraid if my fiance told me something like this. I will have two children alive at my bedside when I die, and then I give birth to three. I'd be a little freaked out. I would ask for a
Yeah.
little elaboration on that. But she has this premonition, so she thinks that her daughter Judith is going to be the one that dies, and she's like, her kind of like earthy witchcraft rituals are what she relies on when Judith gets sick. Like she's using all of these kind of, medicine woman tactics and not
Mm-hmm.
listening to, again, her mother-in-law, who is telling her that's a tough scene. Her mother-in-law is essentially like, this kid's dead.
Yeah.
It's like, stop trying to save her, just make her comfortable.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a
but
lot.
I did think that, yeah, it was it the most deep character portrayal that we could get. Definitely not, but I thought that it served its purpose in kind of separating her and making her feel like an other in that house,
Yeah.
especially when Shakespeare is not there. He travels a lot back and forth to London in their marriage. He's not always around, and she is there with his family, so she's an other.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that, actually. I also think, like, with that kind of framing of it, there is this idea that, Shakespeare is, he's yearning to be tapped into something larger than him, right? And she is already, that's something that's naturally part of herself. And I think maybe that is something that is alluring to him, that she is in this world, and that, obviously then it becomes, he honors that in a sense, right? In Hamlet,
Mm-hmm.
the play. And I think that's a really interesting way to frame that. Well, you mentioned the children earlier and that scene of trying to save the kids when they're sick. Um, that was probably, besides the ending, which I know we're going to talk about. Um, That is probably my favorite scene. It's what really turned the movie around for me is the whole stretch of those kids being sick, the way it's introduced, where the camera pans and Hamnet is trying to wake up his sister in a
Yeah.
mirrored shot that you saw earlier is beautifully done. And then the scene where he decides to take his sister's place, I think is so well directed and so well acted. And I think it's one of my favorite aspects of movies that deal with any sense of sci-fi, fantasy, or like magical realism, where like it suddenly just notches up just a little bit with no formal explanation. And I think it was done so well when he is staring just right above the camera and being like, I'm gonna take her place, you know,
It's
and you'll be safe. It really
breathtaking.
broke me. I was
Yeah,
quite
that
affected by it.
whole scene, that entire sequence of Agnes, like, laboring over her daughter Judith and trying to keep the other kids out of the room so that she doesn't get sick, and keeping her body cooler, trying to get the fever out, putting all these medication, like medical herbs around her, and putting, like, just the her franticness and her desperation in that
Hmm.
scene was really coming through, and in the performance. And the like on top of it, she finally kind of collapses and falls asleep, and that's when Hamnet, sneaks into the room that he's not supposed to be in, and he can't help himself.
Hmm.
And when he says, yeah, when he says like, I'm gonna be brave, like he told his dad, and he's like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna be brave, I'm gonna like take your place, like take me instead, like that we're twins, they won't recognize us, or they
yeah,
won't know, but like death won't know the difference. I lost my shit. I absolutely lost it.
yeah.
um I was just like a mess. And then when they wake up and find that he's laying beside her, and that he is kind of beyond repair at that point, you just see the grief and the immediate like horror in Agnes's face, that not only has she, you know, failed to save a child, but she lost the one that she was, the one that she wasn't anticipating, and that
Hmm.
her prophecy has come true in a way that she didn't expect. And I just, yeah, that scene, that moment was, yeah, the Buckley Oscar clinch. I was like, this. I was like, I just can't even, like, it's kind of, I've only seen the movie once, but it's like in
Hmm.
my brain, like I can
Yeah,
see right now her facial expressions in that scene, like the
yeah,
way that her face moves.
yeah.
And I was just like, oh my god, like I lost it. I was a wreck for the rest of the movie, basically.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, like, I think the movie is maybe not without its pacing issues. There are moments that,
Oh
for me
yeah,
at
it's
least,
a little
felt
long.
felt like it dragged, and in between that and the ending, there's you're like just kind of like, okay, where are we going? And then we get to the ending, which I think you have a really interesting note here, Gabby. So I want you to introduce this question.
Okay. This is the only, like I said, Hamnet, I think it's a beautiful movie. I like it more than a lot of other people seem to. This is my bump. This is my note.
Hmm.
We mentioned that throughout this movie, we are not supposed to know that Paul Mescal is William Shakespeare. We are just told that he's going to London and he's writing plays, and they don't even give you an indication of his success. They don't like really even tell you, like, oh, he's, the talk of the town in London or anything. They don't say anything. So when the only indication we get is towards the end of the movie, when he decides to build like a manor, a huge like mansion.
Hmm.
I think in a place it's called Stratford, I think.
Yeah, Stratford.
Um
Yeah.
for his two daughters and Agnes, and beautiful house, but only when we see that house do we realize, like, oh, he's a big deal. But Mr. Shakespeare is not living at home. He is living above the Globe Theater, because he has a new play that's being put on. And I forget, like the scene unfolds, like Agnes comes to the Globe with her brother, and her
Hmm.
brother is like, "We're here to see William Shakespeare." Like, and it's the first time you
Yeah.
hear his name in the movie, and I was like, and in that moment, I was like, "Wait a second, is this supposed to be a reveal?" I thought that they were just not going to say his name the whole time, but no, it's supposed to be a weird reveal moment. And then they go up and they see his like meager little like, artist room that he sleeps in. And Agnes is looking around as if she's never seen like any of his work before. Like she's never seen his words, like she's never seen like a dwelling that he's been in. And I'm like, you do live with him. You're married to him. You know him. And then they go down to the Globe Theater, which they shot actually in the Globe Theater. Again,
Hmm.
very beautiful. And I believe it's supposed to be the opening day of the play Hamlet. So Agnes, like, she like pushes past a bunch of people, like on the ground level, her and her brother, and she just seems utterly shocked. Like she seems like she's utterly shocked by going to a play. And in my head in that moment, I was like, has she never seen a play before? Like, has she never been to a play that like has Shakespeare kept her in the woods so long that she doesn't know how to behave at a play? Because she's like, I understand that she's upset. She's not sure what this play is going to be. She just knows that it's titled after her dead son. So she's like aggravated. But she's like yelling throughout the beginning of the play. She's like, "Don't say my son's name. Why are you speaking on him?" And I'm like, "You're at a play. You're at a play. Your husband is William Shakespeare. We just learned that for certain. And you don't know how to behave yourself at a play?" That
Yeah,
was
I
my
think
bump. That's my bump.
yeah, I think that I mean, she's just so in her own world, and he's like, I love that about you, and I'm just gonna do my own thing.
I love that girl. I love my
But
witch.
it is, yeah, it was wild. I was like, what's going on? Why is she doing that?
I like maybe they just did it for dramatic effect, but like it is very effective when she is like she gets herself to the front of the stage and she's like leaning on the stage and she sees the older Jupe, Noah Jupe's portrayal of
Hmm.
Hamlet as this kind of heroic but tragic character, and there's a lot woven into um like the character being a swordsman, and like he's fighting and doing like battle combat on stage, and
Hmm.
that's something that her son had told her was like his dream to do, like so there's a lot of like going back and forth like in the movie. And also Paul Mescal comes out as the dead father, the ghost in Hamlet,
Oh
like
yeah,
he plays it himself.
yeah.
um which she seems to again be completely clueless about. Like, like I'm sorry, what does she think her husband does?
I don't think anything, nothing that he writes and people pay him money. Like, and she's like, that's good enough. I've
So
got
she sees him in
premonitions to
like
see out.
the white face paint, and she's just like, "Is that him? Will? Billy? Is that you?" I would love to know what she called him.
Yeah,
Probably William. But
I think so.
um but yeah, I think a lot has been made of the ending scene at the Globe. What was your kind of feelings about seeing pieces of the play Hamlet? I thought it was pretty balanced, but again,
Hmm.
a little bit on the lengthier side, but
Yeah.
in terms of how much they showed. But yeah, what did you think of the kind of execution, and did you think it was a satisfying end to the arc of like Agnes and Shakespeare grieving separately and then together?
That's a great framing of it because I do like the ending. I don't know if it fully closes the loop on it, so to speak, right? Because I think what happens is that the ending is like quite like a beautiful thing. It's like a culmination of all these things happening at the same time, right? There's Shakespeare having an emotional reaction, there's Anya's having an emotional reaction, and then you have the actor on stage and the crowd who are all reacting to different
Yes.
things, so to speak, right? And there's
Right.
this idea that whatever this catharsis is that it's happening for this woman, that everyone is tuning into something that they are relating to a little bit differently. As Hamlet has, the actor who's playing the stage character Hamlet is saying this monologue, right? But it's kind of, it's the picture that I chose behind me. This is one of the parts of the film that I did really enjoy, and I feel like it was quite moving to see the effect that this resolution was able to have for her, right? Like it feels like she's closing she's finding closure in something. um but maybe it's not the relationship. Maybe it's just like the accepting the loss of her son, or the idea of like this memory of her son now it can live on longer, right, beyond his normal lifespan,
Right.
because of what he has now become to the idea of other people, in the minds of
Right.
other people.
And I think that that's beautiful. Yeah. I think that like that the film succeeds completely in taking that route. Like, I think that I would have liked a slight amount of more closure. Like I said, I asked you that because I think it's not wholly satisfying to me.
Mm.
Like we don't really get a moment or even like a meaningful eye lock, like locking of eyes between Agnes and Shakespeare. Like that's what I wanted. Like at the very end, just like an acknowledgement that we had this beautiful son, we lost him, we're grieving him, and now he will be, he'll be something forever.
Yeah, and what we do get between them in that moment, I feel like, is it kind of ruined by the fact that like you can't accept that they're having any closure between the two of them, because she is being an idiot at this play.
She is. She's being so bad at the play. She's being really bad at the play. Honestly, if my wife was behaving that way at like one of my premieres, I'd be like, I don't know her, escort her out. I do not know this woman who claims to be betrothed to me. Like,
Wow.
I don't
Gabby,
know.
if you sell a movie and it has a red carpet premiere at the Chinese theater and I get invited,
And
I'll sit in and I'll just make audible reactions when things happen on screen. Just go, "Whoa!" Don't say
my
that.
my my pod husband Evan, I've never heard of him before. Please escort this gentleman out, and I'll meet him at Musso and Frank's.
In podcasting in 2026, the name Evan was interchangeable with the name Kevin. Oh, goodness
Oh
gracious.
man. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about our next film, Evan. You chose the pairing on this one. I feel like we came to it mutually, but it was your suggestion and we came to it for different reasons. And mine was like a very shallow connection, and you sent me like this beautiful text of like depth and like all these emotions that you had tied to both of these movies, and I was like, yep, that makes sense. And my rationale was just like they both use the same piece of music at a key part of the movie.
And that movie, folks, is Arrival. We'll be right back.
We have arrived at Arrival.
That's right.
We
Which
have arrived.
it premiered at the Venice Film Festival September 1st, 2016. Wow, 10 years ago. That 2016 to 2026 trend.
Mhm.
Released wide on November 11th, 2016, directed by Denis Villeneuve, our second Denis movie, Prisoner, shout out. Written by Eric Hesserer, adapted from the novella
Heiserer?
story.
Yeah,
I'm sure we mispronounced it.
we did. We're sorry, Eric.
Adapted from the novella Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang, produced by Sean Levy, Dan Levine, Aaron Ryder, and David Lind. Is it like the Sean Levy, director Sean Levy? We should have looked this up.
Yes, I think so.
Wow, interesting. Interesting
I
takes, that
believe.
guy.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. I need to make sure that it is because honestly, I don't love
That's
the work of
such a
Sean Levy, director. So if
what
it is his,
wild take.
if
It
it is
is.
him, it would be. Oh my god,
Yeah.
you're right. I'm right. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I don't always love his taste, but he really
He
He
be
pulled it
out
out
there.
with this one.
Yeah.
He pulled it out with Arrival. This movie is starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, Michael Stuhlbarg, and Zai Ma.
Zima. Turns out Gabby and I were both wrong. It is Thai Ma.
So sorry. Once again. We're sorry to Eric and we're sorry to Z.
Well, talking about the box office, obviously right now Hamnet is in theaters currently. We mentioned that it's about $50 million worldwide. The box office pretty good for a movie like this. Arrival made $203 million at the box office. That's pretty ludicrous.
That's insane for like a prestigious sci-fi drama. Like I know it's an
Yeah,
alien movie, but not really. It's not like in the tradition of like Alien or Aliens, you know? Like it's not like that
yeah.
kind of movie.
Well, you know
It's
what?
insane.
This came out right after the election, and maybe people needed something to
To boost their humanity.
yeah. Because honestly,
Everyone was
watching it,
escaping to the aliens. Back then we were so young. We were so
we were
young
so
then.
young.
That was literally Trump's first term. We were like,
For
how could this happen? And now we're like, it's happening again, but worse.
yeah, it pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, watching it
It's
this weekend
secular,
was pretty
cyclical.
wild. I think it was really. I think the movie is so optimistic, despite being a movie that is so sad and dire. But we'll get into that as we talk about Arrival. Arrival is nominated for a lot of Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director. Denis Villeneuve's
Hmm.
only director nomination so far.
Absolutely criminal. Criminal.
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll give it to him for Dune Messiah? Because he sure as
No,
hell is not going to give it. They're not going to give it to him for any of the bonds that he's going to do.
that's true.
So
Yeah. Well,
maybe
I
Dune
guess we'll
3.
see. I mean,
Fingers
I'm
crossed.
scared. I'm scared about
I'm
Dune
scared.
Messiah. I think it might be bad.
What? Okay, well, at least that's recorded so that when it's an absolute triumph, I can play this back
I'm not a
and be
fan of the
like,
Dune
Evan
movies.
was a hater.
The Dune movies are not for
Um,
me. I'm very on record of saying that.
okay, fine, then they can stay for me. But it was also nominated Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and won Best Sound Editing, a factoid that I remembered off the top of my head because I am ill. I am a sick person. Um, Hamnet has some very similar Oscar nominations: Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, Best Costume Design, Best Production Design. Um, I would like to say that there is a glaring error also in the Arrival nominations, which is um, no Amy Adams, which is absolutely insane. They've nominated her for so much worse, and this is her best performance. This is her best performance aside from Sharp Objects, which is TV.
Which
But
is TV. This is really
I'll
kind of in
never
the
get over
Sharp
that.
Objects vein, though, right? That's kind of it's the same mode.
A little bit. I think that that's her best mode, though. Like that's her
Interesting.
best vein that I enjoy her in, unless she's going like full Enchanted. You
Yeah.
know, like I think that not to be morbid, but Arrival and Enchanted are going to be her obituary movies.
Yeah, probably.
And for her to like be not recognized for Arrival is a little bit insane and embarrassing to the Academy. I said
Who
it.
was up? Well, let's see. Hold on. We'll cut the dead air. But who was up that year? Winners and
It's the
nominees.
La La Land year. So the
Um,
nominees for Best Actress in a Leading Role in 2016 were Emma Stone, who won for La La Land, Isabelle Huppert for Elle, Ruth Negga for Loving, Natalie Portman for Jackie, and an absolutely abysmal nomination that Amy Adams should have overtaken easily: Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins. Do you know what that movie is, Evan?
no.
Nobody does. Do you know what Arrival is? I think a lot of people know what Arrival is. No shots to Meryl Streep, but she already has so many nominations. Did she need that one
Yeah.
too?
Yeah. That one's a woof.
That's a
Dang.
bad one.
Well, if you haven't seen Arrival, you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend you watch it. Arrival is about aliens landing on Earth in 12 different spots around the globe. The U.S. Army recruits linguist Louise Banks and physicist Ian Donnelly as part of a team to understand who these aliens are and what their purpose on Earth is. A classic kind of first contact movie, except done so well. Gabby, what is your relationship with Arrival?
Honestly, I didn't have a huge relationship to it because I used to be a much bigger sci-fi hater.
Mm,
And actually, I was remembering this as we were having our Denis conversation um, about Dune. That I think that I watched Arrival, like that. I don't recall seeing it in theaters. I don't think I went to see this in theaters in
hmm
2016, which I regret. But I watched it at home before I saw Dune because
Oh.
I wanted to see like another sci-fi kind of situation from Denis, and like obviously this movie had been raved about and people told me I would really love this movie, but I used to be kind of more like skeptical of doing hard sci-fi, and I wasn't clear of it. I don't think this is a hard sci-fi movie necessarily, but um
Mm,
it
I would
leans
say
that
it's up
way,
there.
but it's up
Yeah.
there. Never mind. I take it back. But
They really
uh
talk about how language is constructed.
they do. Which is not sci-fi, but also in Hamnet, see
Yeah.
language. But
Language.
um so my relationship to it, like I wish I had seen it in theaters, but I saw it at home during the pandemic in preparation of seeing Dune Part 1. And I loved it. I remember watching it alone, just like in the
Mm,
dark in my apartment, and just like having a very emotional reaction to Amy Adams and these aliens. And even Jeremy Renner, which is really hard to do for me.
yeah, I mean, he's actually
uh,
pretty good in this movie.
he's pretty
Yeah.
good in this, and
Yeah.
I every time I think like, damn, now I can remind myself. Like every time I'm like, why is Jeremy Renner in this? I'll be like,
Yeah.
Arrival. Arrival showed he had the juice. And the
Yeah.
town. Someday we have to cover the
And
town.
the town.
I think he's
Yeah.
an Oscar nominee for the town. And he should be.
I
But
want to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in such a long time.
well, we'll put it on the list. Maybe there'll be a heist movie we can do with the town this year. Um, but you mentioned that you have done a little bit of a change up on this movie.
Yeah.
So
So I've seen
what is your
Arrival.
previous relationship?
Yeah, I've seen Arrival 3 times. The first time I watched it, I'm pretty sure it was 2021. It was still, like pre-COVID vaccine day, so everyone's still inside. I was at my parents' house at the time. I think I saw that it was something you could watch on demand for free, and I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything else. I might as well watch Arrival finally. And I watched it. I was like, okay, this is cool. And we get to the kind of twist that happens towards the end, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then the movie ended, and I was like, well, once you watch Arrival, you get it. You just get it, and there's nothing else to it. I was like, why? I was like, okay, sure, this movie looks beautiful, cool, performance is pretty good, but that's it. The movie, one and done. You watch it, that's it. Nothing. You got nothing else.
Oh, all right.
And
You were
then
not attached.
not attached. And then at some point, I watched half of it because it was just on TV, and I found myself really locked in, and I started really thinking about the ideas that the movie was presenting. And maybe I was like going through stuff at the time, but I really ended up latching on to the film. And I've never done a bigger 180 on being so staunchly like that was fine, to being like I actually really like this movie now. And having watched it now a third time, or really a second time in full, right, I've swung a little bit back towards the first position, but I do think that I genuinely enjoy this film a lot. I really think when you start to zoom out and you get a chance to really watch the film for a second time in full, knowing what is happening or what will happen, I think it actually does like unlock a lot of different things. And
It changes the viewing for sure to know
yeah,
what's coming.
yeah, and that I think really was good, and I'm glad we got a chance to sit down and revisit it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, do you want to share why you suggested this? Because I will say my only suggestion at the time, we were thinking out like ahead. We were like looking at the schedule and we were like, we should cover Hamnet. And you said, oh, and we should do Arrival. And I said, oh, because, and I had not even seen it yet. So
Mm.
but it had been spoiled for me, not by you, that On the Nature of Daylight played a really big part at a pivotal moment. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, are you saying that because of the On the Nature of Daylight needle drop? And you were like, no. And like, you were like, that didn't even occur to me. So, Evan, share with the people, why did you choose Arrival?
Yeah, so what I texted Gabby verbatim was that I suggested it because of the way love transcends time and space and because of our inability to communicate with one another. And losing a child. Second text.
And losing a child. Yeah, again, beautiful reasoning and very poignant way to put it. And
Mhm.
that said, they both do use On the Nature of Daylight.
Yeah, let's break that down because we didn't really touch on that in the ending conversation. And when people talk about Hamnet maybe being manipulative, this is a major point that comes up with this movie is that On the Nature of Daylight by Max Richter. Max Richter composed the score for Hamnet. He also did the score in full for Arrival as well, I believe, right?
Yes. So he's cribbing from his own score. Like it's
Yes.
not like he's stealing from somebody else's work, which is why I think it's been a little bit of a gray area for
Hmm.
people. Like there was some people were kind of like, should he get another Oscar nomination for the Hamnet score if he's just like the biggest musical moment of the movie is his own score.
Yeah.
But hey, I will say Justin Hurwitz, same thing. He one of my favorite composers. He composed La La Land, an Oscar-winning score, and he uses just straight up like bars from La La Land in the
Yeah.
Babylon score. A score I love. So you know what? My take is if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Also, wait, just to clarify too, for Arrival, Max Richter did not compose a score. The score was by Johan Johansson, who is also
Oh.
a famous composer. But Max Richter's piece on the nature of daylight is
It's used in the
prominently
movie.
featured in
Okay.
Arrival, and it has been prominently featured in other movies as well. And
A
also,
lot of movies. It's in The Last of Us, like it's in a lot of pop
mhm,
culture.
Shutter Island too.
The
Um
Leftovers, I'm pretty sure.
so it is a song that is kind of like recognizable for, being sad and like emotional moments and is very effective at, eliciting those emotions. Um Jessie Buckley has been interviewed and said that that was a song that she was using to help get her into the right headspace, and Chloe Zhao didn't even think about using that song at while they were filming. So it's really interesting to see how it kind of became part of the film, and now we have this kind of like gray area with the awards. Like it's kind of noted that Arrival couldn't be nominated for best score because of how heavily that song was featured. So
Hmm.
a lot to think about, right? But On the Nature of Daylight, using Hamnet, definitely makes you cry. And is
Absolutely. 100% tearjerker.
yeah, and sometimes music as a shortcut like that is obviously really effective. Sometimes it can, rub you the wrong way. It's just tough because I think what's happening on screen is also very emotional at the same time. I don't think it's quite, I think you could have used a different thing. I
Well,
still would have had the same effect on me, I think.
well, I'm gonna be totally honest. I mean, the needle drop was spoiled for me, and maybe this is why, but when I saw Hamnet and I saw that scene, I did not notice the music. Like I
Mm.
fully did not wasn't listening to the music or the sound. I was so locked in on those performances and on Jessie Buckley specifically that I like it was like a backdrop to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't really noticing it as much. But I
Yeah.
know that, it maybe that's just me, but I think yeah, it's tricky. I think that music is often something that people cite when they feel that a scene or a moment in a movie is being manipulative. When the score swells and, uh,
Mhm.
I feel like it's either a turnoff or it just kind of movies like Arrival and Hamnet, I feel like it does just kind of blend in to the moment in the best case,
Yeah.
and
It's
like
pieces of
it's
the
not
puzzle,
so
right? It's kind
glaring.
of
Right.
supporting.
It's so part of the moment that
Mhm.
you don't notice it as like a glaring, like, oh, you want me to cry now
Yeah.
kind of heartstrings thing. Yeah, I think I know it from Arrival. I've heard it in other things, but it's so prominent in Arrival that like that's
Yeah.
what my brain goes to when I hear it. Like even when I heard it in The Last of Us last season, I was like, "Oh, Arrival music. Interesting choice."
Yeah, 100%. So again, yeah, the music is very prominently featured. Like Gabby said, it's kind of like the Arrival music. It is, you know, what I think makes this usage notable and like the link to Hamnet specifically is that the song is linked to moments of Louise, Amy Adams' character,
And her
recounting very
daughter.
and her moments with her daughter, right? And what we eventually will know or realize is the loss of her daughter, um
Right.
which is what happens, with Hamnet as well, right? It's that kind of closure moment of
Yeah.
him passing on in that sense.
It is interesting to me though. I mean, I remembered the flashbacks as to the daughter as part of the movie, but it is interesting on a second viewing. Like this was the second time that I watched the movie in full, and so watching it with the knowledge of the twist and everything that has happened, um, did kind of change how I even saw those flashbacks and how I
Yeah.
noted how her daughter Hannah like lingers over the whole movie, like her
Mm.
her presence really is like it's the first shot of the movie. It's like the opening shot, the opening monologue from Amy Adams is talking about time and how, maybe there are no beginnings and no endings, you know. It's like a really moving moment and you think that it's about parenthood and it kind of
Mhm.
is, but it's then throughout the progress of the movie, you realize it's about loss and what it's like to lose, you know, not only your child, but the part of you that, for this character at least, that only has one child and that like knew the risks of only having that one child and chose to do so anyway, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like where my mind came from with the pairing, right? Like both like I'd love to say that I made the link immediately that like both Louise and Agnes have like this knowledge that one day a child of theirs will die. But that's
They
not
do.
what they do. That's not how I made the link though. I'd love to say that, but
No,
it's not how
but
I got there. But I think like when I think about, how both of these movies treat grief in a sense, right? Like we as people are kind of on this earth for like a finite amount of time, right? And we have people in our lives that do exist only for a finite amount of time. And I think there is an idea at some point that you will have to confront the end of someone's life, and it's obviously something that is very hard to do, but it's something that we all will experience. And when that
yeah, but
moment
especially
happens,
I think that what makes these moments in these movies all the more painful is that you don't expect when you have a child that you're going to lose that child. Like you expect to
mhm,
outlive your child, You expect that
yeah,
someday this child is going to have to grieve me.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
I think that's what makes it even harder. Just a little more of a
Yeah.
twist of the knife.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think like the idea that, that both these women like understand that they will lose their child too because of whatever, this other worldliness that they are tapped into, and like feeling like understanding that one day they will feel worse than they currently feel, right? That this sadness will kind of like
Right.
come back in waves, and the way it can like kind of haunt them and be part of their life, right? Like both, I think, Agnes and Louise kind of mitigate that in different ways, right? Where Agnes like has to is now seeing that like part of this sadness will live on forever in this character, and like and
Hmm.
who this boy could have been, uh whereas Louise is like able to slip comfortably back and forth through time and understand, like treasure those moments in a very more in a much more tangible way than just like taking a moment to stop and like think about it, and then like be confronted with the reality that she has like lost her child as well.
Right. That these are
um
moments that, that she can revisit, but that are still fleeting in a way because
yeah,
they have already happened and they can't really ever happen again. Um, but
yeah,
yeah, yeah, it is interesting that link that they both kind of. I mean, Louise more tangibly knows what she's getting into. You know, Agnes is much. It's more of a premonition, more of a
yeah,
feeling. But um,
yeah.
so I think, yeah, like there is something also to the choice of, like, choosing to how you're going to parent or how you're going to approach that part of your life in both of them. Because Agnes chooses to have multiple children, of course, but she makes a very conscious choice in how she parents them and how she spends her time with them, because she it seems like, at least to me, because she had that premonition, that she spends a lot more time with them, and she asks them about their hopes, their dreams, like she wants to know them very deeply as people.
Hmm.
And I feel that for Louise too, that Louise is so dedicated to her daughter, no matter knowing the outcome.
Hmm.
Um, she's just wants to soak up every moment of like being Hannah's mother.
Yeah. And there's something about like being able to see, quote, like when you really think about how she can speak heptapod or whatever, it's like, oh, does it really make sense? Like, wouldn't you be able to change time or
It
blah blah blah
doesn't
blah?
have to
But
make sense. Go with it.
and that's where it's not hard sci-fi, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
you can see like in the moments where she remembers, like she is trying to like be there with her, right? Like you said, like soak up that time, and but she probably later in life is able to maybe revisit those moments, as painful as
Right.
it might be, right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, the pain, in that case, it's kind of like, is the pain of being able to revisit them worse in a way?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, yes, you can glimpse this moment in time, but is it almost more painful to be able to see it so vividly and
Yeah.
realize what you had? And, with with a normal kind of like a memory,
Yeah.
those things are not so easily accessible anymore over time. So I think it's interesting how, yeah, the legacy of their children weighs on the films, and
Mm-hmm.
what is left behind of them even after they're gone, for their parents. Even with the Jeremy Renner character, who, spoiler, is the dad.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah. And to that
And
point,
he
right?
kind of
Like,
makes the opposite decision. He is like, it is too painful, and I don't think I can forgive you for, like, knowing that we would have a child and she would die. Like, he makes the opposite choice. Like, he knows that he doesn't want to live with that pain.
yeah, yeah. And I think like the other half of what I texted you too, right? Like goes hand in hand with that. Like both of the couples in both movies like don't really know how to process grief or in a sense, and or like communicate that to each other, right? Like Louise is so comfortable with her communication with time that she doesn't know how to like effectively
Right.
relay that to Ian. And you know, the whole movie is about communication, how the human species should be communicating with each other and to other species.
Shocking.
And yeah, and then Shakespeare and Anya, like when the child dies, like they really aren't able to talk about it, right? And it takes
Mm-mm.
both of them stepping outside of themselves and into this world that they have effectively created together in certain senses in order to
Sure.
live to really talk, funnel their feelings through, you know.
Right.
Because I think they do tap into this when the crowd is all reaching out because she kind of like wills that moment. Like they
Yeah.
do tap into some force that I think is only possible because the synergy, so to speak, of the two of them being in that moment and creating that space together.
Right.
Yeah,
They were holding space
they were holding space. Yeah.
for Hamnet. Hamnet and Hannah.
Wow.
Kind of
Writing
similar
the
child names too.
writing the fanfic right now.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
Hamnet Hannah shipping.
Hamnet.
Oh boy.
Is there anything else you want to note on your big switcheroo? Your big 180? Anything else that you really
Um,
noticed
on
this time
Arrival,
around?
Forrest Whitaker, great. Michael
Underrated.
Stuhlbarg, great. Um, Bradford Young cinematography, great. Arrival looks so
Excellent.
good. I arrive like that might be
It
the
looks
last time
so good.
natural light movies looked good. I'll be honest, like it might
Really?
be.
That's what you think?
Yeah, because now
You
everything's
heard it
too
here
dark.
first.
Everything's too
Everything is
dark.
so dark.
Arrival was still just light enough.
I know. I mean, do you think, I mean, controversial, do you think the Dune movies are too dark?
I haven't watched them at home, so I don't know.
Okay. So you don't know.
Dune 2's not that dark though. They're always out in the sun,
Right.
right?
I
Yeah.
guess Dune 1 is darker.
Dune 1's
Um,
darker. There's more scenes at the siege at night, right?
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
also got a lot of it's a very gray movie, but like artsy gray, you know, not like boring gray.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cool tones.
Yeah. The Batman
And
too dark.
Arrival's a lot of cool tones. The Batman way too dark. But
Yeah. Um
um but
Prisoners
Arrival, yeah, looks so
Prisoners
good. But
dark but bright. This is a
bright.
podcast. This is a whole thing. Movie too dark, too bright.
Why does it look like that? This is our segment. Why does it look like that?
This is dark but bright. Oh my god.
I
Oh.
There are also, I don't know, I think there are moments when Hamnet is too dark.
Yeah,
Just a
definitely.
touch. Just a
Yeah.
touch too dark, like when Paul Mescal is like looking out at the ocean and doing the to be or not to be moment. I was like, I would like to see his face a little
Yeah.
bit more, but
That was
you
pretty
know, it's
yeah.
also just he's Paul Mescal and he's very handsome, and I like to look at his face,
Yeah.
even when he's contemplating his dead son and crying.
One battle after another, bright.
Bright,
Sinners, dark but like
excellent, dark
bright,
but
medium
bright,
bright. There's like maybe one shot in
just the right
Sinners that's like
amount,
too dark. Yeah, yeah, just the right
just the
amount.
right amount. I don't. Yeah, there was nothing that jumps out to me, but I'm like, oh, it's so dark.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Also,
But
okay, back to Arrival though. I do think the movie really triumphs. Like Denis hates dialogue, but I do think the movie makes you really engage with like how they're going about trying to deconstruct language. Thought that was pretty
yeah,
cool because you don't really get movies about creating language.
no, because it sounds boring. But then when you put aliens in the mix, we got a
Yeah.
hit. We've got a $200 million hit. Um, yeah, I do think that is ironic that Denis is kind of anti like a lot of dialogue in his movies, and then this is kind of the movie that leans into like slightly like this is about words and language and how
Yeah.
we communicate.
This movie's
Um,
Yap City.
Paul Atreides could never.
I know. Paul Atreides sees that ring and he says that heptapod language and he goes, I can't read that. I'm not studying that. He just uses the voice. He says, "Give me the weapon."
It's too hard, father.
That's all right. All you'll be all I've ever needed you to be, my son. Ooh,
Ooh,
best trailer line ever. 10
right
out
in
of
the
10.
feet. Maybe that's why Denis hates dialogue. Maybe it's just like he's listening to dialogue like that all day, like real on the nose. My son.
Um I think that might wrap it up for my arrival. Oh, last arrival thought. If the movie, so Abbott and Costello is the nicknames they give the aliens. I assume that is coming from the book. I'm not sure, right? But
I'm not entirely sure.
if this movie was set in 2025, who or 2026, what would they name the aliens?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Do you have something off the top of your head?
I have one off the top of my head, but only because we just saw Marty Supreme. Penn and Teller.
Okay, Penn and Teller. Maybe like Sonny and Cher, Simon and
That's good.
Garfunkel. Maybe music. Maybe go
Maybe
in a music
yeah.
vein. Um, hmm.
Um Mario and Luigi.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pep. Yeah, that's good. Honest, that might be it.
Salt and pepper.
That might
But
be
with
it.
the A at the end. No, not
Yeah,
pepper.
yeah. Yeah, Peppa. Yeah.
I think maybe it would lean a little more contemporary, but still not too contemporary because these people, yeah, they're not Gen Z deciphering
Yeah,
these
yeah.
codes, you know?
Yeah.
They love Sonny and Cher. Hey, we keep it Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet.
I think you got it. You nailed it.
I
Done
got
deal.
it. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Unnecessarily gendered them too. Nailed
Yeah.
it.
Any you have any wrap up thoughts on Arrival?
Not really. I liked it. I mean, my thought is that Arrival is my Interstellar now. Like whenever somebody gets
Mm,
really mushy gushy about like a movie, a sci-fi movie about how love is the answer all along or something, I'm just gonna be like, but have you seen Arrival? Because love is the language. Language, communication is the key here. Um, yeah, that's what I'm good. That was my takeaway because as diehards listeners will know, I've seen Interstellar once in 70 millimeter. Didn't get the hype. Didn't get it. Too
uh,
saccharine.
it is, and
Um,
I love it for that exact reason.
I know that that's why people love it, but now I saw this movie and I was like, okay, this is the perfect amount of
Yeah.
like sci-fi and sap for me.
For no, that's on it balances it really well. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's
I'll
no
have
moment where I'm like, oh, give me a break, Amy. Like there's no
yeah,
moment of that.
yeah, because I think I mean just I didn't really get to dive into her performance too much, but I do think it's like a lot more subtle than you would expect, right? We were mentioning that she's usually like swinging for it, and that's when people kind of like recognize it. And I do think that
Yeah,
maybe I think some I would want more from the character, but I think the performance is really good. I think that's honestly the same with Jessie
yeah,
Buckley too. Yeah,
yeah. No, the performance is great. I think uh Amy Adams' performance I think is much more understated. I think Jessie
yeah,
Buckley, but also Hamnet is a theatrical, like it has theater roots. Like you're supposed to be kind of swinging for the rafters,
yeah,
like playing it like theater performers. But yeah, maybe that's why Amy Adams was snubbed.
yeah. Maybe, maybe.
Too understated. Stay you, Amy. Stay you.
All right. Well, some alt pairings that we were kind of thinking of. I when I texted Gabby, I was like, we should do Arrival. I was like, we also could do Loving Vincent, which is not a great movie, but
It's a
it
movie I really wanted to love, and I kind of just
same.
don't.
I've actually seen Loving Vincent 3 times, which is crazy.
That's insane. I've seen it
Yeah.
once and I thought it was mid, and I was like,
It,
damn it.
Yeah, I if you haven't seen Loving Vincent, it's basically a pseudo like biopic about Vincent Van Gogh. But
Van Gogh.
what makes it unique is that every frame is painted, so it's kind of like a stop motion or it's animation, but stop motion blended, right? And they painted every frame
Yeah.
to
It's a
resemble
mix.
Van Gogh paintings, and it's I think artistically it's cool. Does the movie itself come together? Debatable. But
Yeah.
another thing of like, a portrait of an artist and another perspective on that person's time in their life, which I'm sure you could say for many movies.
Hmm.
Gabby, you had a suggestion, right?
Shakespeare in Love, which is a movie I do not love. I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. I think that it gets like a little villainized because
Mm.
it won over Saving Private Ryan in a very famous like Oscar upset.
Hmm.
Um, it's a fine movie. I don't, but it's like the only other movie we have that kind of depicts Shakespeare's life, and it's again highly fictional.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of about him writing and writing up, you know, about someone. The Gwyneth Paltrow character in that film. Great Gwyneth Paltrow movie though. I will not take that away from her. The only other thing I thought of was that maybe we could have done like a full on Shakespeare pod where we just did like Macbeth or like didn't Kenneth Branagh do like a Hamlet or something like or King
He
Lear?
definitely did a Much Ado About Nothing at the very least, but that's a
Okay.
comedy, which
Yeah,
I
that's not the same.
love.
Yeah, that's different. I was thinking we could yeah, that was my only other thing. I was like we could have done like full Shakespearean tragedy pod,
That's true.
but that
Yeah.
would have been tough.
We could have done that one. It's Macbeth, but it's set at a McDonald's.
I don't know this one. I don't
I'll
think.
send it to you. I did my high school English report on that because we were like take a Shakespeare thing and find a modern adaptation and pair the two. And I did the
Hmm.
McDonald's one. I think it
Okay.
might just be
Find
called
us that
M.
essay. Find us that
No,
essay too, please.
actually no.
Why not? Embarrassed?
It yeah. If I was still in my parents' house, I would legitimately try and find it. So if we had recorded this 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
When we were recording what Avatar, yeah.
Yeah, Avatar from the basement.
Well, that's it for us today. Let us know what you would pair with Hamnet as more people get a chance to see this before the Oscars. If you're listening to us on audio, leave a review or comment, and don't forget to check out the video versions of these on YouTube at Back to the Future Pod. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod and on Instagram at Back to the Future Pod. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with another movie and another pairing, and we'll catch you next time. See
See ya.
ya.